All right. Well, we are in this stay in, stay home quarantine situation with COVID-19. I've been watching films on DVD, going old school, and looking through the DVDs that we have in our house. I'm a sucker for the underdog. I'm going to be honest. I'm a sucker for anybody who's facing any sort of adversity, any sort of shortcoming, and they succeed in reaching their goal. And fortunately, that's a lot of movies. But some of the ones that really hit home for me that I like are family ones and sports related. Those are just personal preferences to me, and if you know me, you probably know why. But they just speak strongly to me. And one of the movies that I found was Pursuit of Happyness, and this is the one with Will Smith in the film, and he plays Chris Gardner, who is an individual that is just trying to provide for his family. He's a veteran of the Navy, and we join him in the film at the beginning. Let me read a little excerpt from the description of the movie, and it says, "In the Pursuit of Happyness, Chris Gardner is a family man struggling to make ends meet. Despite his valiant attempts to help keep the family afloat, the mother of his 5-year-old son, Christopher, is buckling under the constant strain of financial pressure. No longer able to cope, she reluctantly decides to leave." So the mother of his son leaves, and here he is in a financial hardship, but also not wanting to give up the parenting rights of his son. You see, he had a purpose throughout this whole film. He had a purpose, and his purpose was to be the best father to his son possible. He wanted to maintain that relationship. You see, because he didn't have a relationship with his father. He actually didn't meet his father until he was 28. And he wanted to break the cycle of abuse, abandonment, addiction, fear, and poverty. And he knew that he wanted to be the father, the best father that he possibly could. And that speaks a lot to me, because when I went through a divorce, the one thing that I strongly pursued was a relationship with my boys, and being the father that they can count on, that they can love, that they can look up to. And that situation propelled me to make some life changes that would change who I was and allow me to be the father that I really always wanted to be. And love big, love wide. Love big for your purpose. Love wide to accept and connect with those around you. Love big in your purpose. Love you, love your purpose, and love everything about it. Chris loved his son. He loved him so much that he wouldn't let his mother take him. She moved to another state. And he knew that he wanted to be there no matter what. Love big for your purpose. Love wide to accept and connect the things about you and others. Love big, love wide is biblical. When you think about Jesus, what Jesus did when he came, he had a purpose. He had a purpose to die for my sin, right? He accepted my sin, so that way, if I believed in him and believed I was forgiven through his blood, that we can be connected for eternity. But it's relational. Everything Jesus did was relational. He put people before himself. Chris put his son before himself at times. There were points in the movie where he would have to leave his internship. He became stockbroker. He did an internship as a stockbroker, unpaid, in hopes of gaining a paid position at Dean Witter. And he was in competition with 20 something other individuals, and what they did in 8, 9, 10 hours, he said he had to do in like 5 or 6 hours, because he had to get to Chris, and he had to get to the homeless shelters to be able to have a place to sleep at night. And I'll get to that point, but he had a purpose. He put his son first. He accepted his circumstances, his situation. The business, the investment that he had initially chosen, it didn't work out. He had to accept that loss. But he remained connected to his son in that. Some of the pain points of this film is, the conflict in his relationship with his son's mother, the finances, the not knowing whether he was going to be able to sell anything or not sell anything, the broken dream of not being able to sell the bone density scanners, and the constant rejection that he faced from doctor after doctor, and the panic and the desperation of where were they going to live, where are they going to stay for that night. I mean, one of the scenes had him and his son sleeping in a bathroom. Now he reframed that for his son, and they imagined that they were in the wilderness, in the subway station, and there was dinosaurs all around. And so he said, Chris said to his son, how, let's find some safe place that we can hide out for the night, so the dinosaurs don't get us. And then, he sees the restroom. He's like, oh, look, we can hide in that cave. And the next scene is that there they are sleeping in the quote unquote cave, which is a restroom, public restroom. And little Chris is sleeping, but big Chris is crying because of the circumstances that they're in. You see, we're in a difficult position right now. We're in a difficult position. I could see a lot of people relating to Chris right now, because we're not able to work. We're being restricted. We can't provide for our families because we got to protect ourselves from this virus. And so we can't go outside. Well, we can go outside, but we can't have, we have to have 6 feet of distance between us. We have to wear a mask. Our lives changed. We didn't ask for this to happen. Nobody asked for this to happen. Nobody knew it was coming. But we're here in this situation, just a lot like Chris. There's a lot of parallels of this movie to where we're at today. He thought he was going to be able to sell these scanners and make money and provide for his family. It wasn't like he set out to be rich. That's not even what the film was about. He just wanted to provide for his family. I just want to provide for my family. I know many others that just want to provide for their family, but we're restricted. We have to get creative in how we do that now. For some of us, we can't. I mean, it's just not an option. So then what? How are we going to pay for the house? How are we going to pay for food? How are we going to... There's a lot more... At times, there's a lot more questions than answers. But I get back to what's your purpose? See, my purpose is still the same. To love people, to put others first, to inspire and encourage. Now, I cannot inspire and encourage if I'm freaking out about the circumstances surrounding me. I cannot do that. Now, I don't know what you're doing to maintain strength during this time, but if you're freaking out, maybe stop watching so much of the news. Maybe stop focusing on your circumstances and focus on what you can control. Because our circumstance, I can't control the fact that, I can't go. I'm not. I can't go to work. I have to do it differently than what I did before. I can't control the fact that hours are being reduced within different families, and everybody's facing something different. Some people are just getting laid off. Period. I can't change that circumstance. They can't change that circumstance. But here's the thing: this will be over eventually. How are you going to come out of it? Right? I get circumstances. I get difficult pain points. I get the desperation of coming out of this. But in every circumstance, and this is what I love about movies that have adversity, because adversity is a place in time, a situation in time. But there's always an individual in it, right? And so I'm an individual going through this. You're an individual going through this. Chris was an individual going through his circumstances. Some of the strengths that I pulled out in watching this film, he was numb to rejection. I don't know about you. I don't like rejection. I hate rejection. But I've learned to try to numb myself to rejection. Like when I saw him getting rejected over and over again, he went back to his purpose, his son. And that's one of the most important things that you can do. Is go back to what your purpose is, to provide for his son. He was opportunistic in every situation. Being a stockbroker, he was, reaching out to different individuals. And in one of the stories in which he reached out to the quote unquote big fish, and that individual told him, he's like, hey, look, I didn't know you were new. We're not going to go with you. But he had a bunch of friends with him. And what Chris did was, instead of catching the big fish, he caught the school of fish. He caught the big fish's friends. And he made connections with them, relationships with them, and they became customers. He wasn't focused on not getting the big fish. No, if he's so focused on that, he would have never saw the school that was going with the big fish. So he was opportunistic. He used the opportunity to catch the school of fish the big fish was with. Like I said earlier, he was efficient with his time because he had a commitment to picking up his son from daycare and making sure that he was in line at the shelter to have a place to sleep and eat that night. One of the things I admired about the character Chris in this film is he never blamed anybody for his circumstances. He didn't blame his upbringing. He didn't blame his son's mom. Nowhere in this film did he blame anybody. He was flexible. He was efficient. He was relentless. He was passionate, and he loved. Even though he had no place to go to live, he didn't have a place to live. And he was still flexible. He was still efficient. He was still relentless and passionate in what he did, and he loved. I mean, that's where we're at. We don't know what tomorrow brings. He didn't know what tomorrow brings. But he knew he had a certain amount of time to do what he needed to do. So my encouragement to you is this. We are here in this point in time. We're all going through it together. But see, when this thing ends, I don't know how you're going to come out of it. Are you going to come out of it stronger? Or are you going to come out of it weaker? Because see, when the economy gets ramped up again, which it will, it's going to happen. We're not going to be in this position forever. 9/11 happened. We weren't in that position forever. It may be slow in coming back, but it's going to come back. Have faith, it'll come back. But what type of individual will you be for either you return to the same employer, or you find another employer, or maybe you start a business because of this? Or maybe you start a different business because of this. I don't know. But see, there's things that you can do during this time that will help you. You got to make the choice. You got to make the choice. And this goes back to the last podcast I did. You can make the choice to look at your circumstances and maintain that victim state mentality of my circumstances are getting the best of me, and I'm not good enough, and I'm not going to make it. And I'm going to need all the help I can get because this and this and this. You could totally do that. Or you could take on the victory state mentality, which creates a system and a mindset that helps overcome what you're experiencing today. See, there are people that are getting laid off, and there are people that are not working, and it's difficult. And there are challenges, and we're being restricted. But that doesn't have to change who you are. You see, when I went through the divorce, I knew I needed something different. Because the pain of where I was greater than the pain it would take to change. I was tired of being this facade of an individual that looked for other people to accept me and validate me. All I did was seek and look for external validation. Chris Gardner didn't look for external validation. He was trying to get a job and a career that would help support people. Support the people that he loved, his family. He invested in a machine so that he could support his family. So there's different investments that you're going to have to make at this point in time, going through these circumstances. They're going to help you on the end of this thing. You see, because it's going to come to an end. I'm telling you, whether it's, I don't know, 1 month, 2 months, weeks, days, I don't know. But what you can do is focus on today and figure out, okay, what game plan do I need to set up to make myself strong, positive-minded, loving, and hungry to get back at it. If anything, this thing is making me hungrier to inspire and encourage you. And I get to do that, from my home, on audio, on video, and get you thinking about some of these things that you're experiencing. See, creating that awareness of why you think the way you do. See, there's a quote in this film. Chris talks about when he spent time with his son, reflecting in his disappointment at the beach. He remembered when he was young and would get an A on a test or whatever, he would get this good feeling and think about all the things he could be. And then in that moment on the beach, he recognized he never became any of them. How many of you individuals out there can relate to that? Can relate to a high point earlier in your life, and then here you are 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, and that dream or that desire, that passion, you never went for it. For one reason or the other. I believe this is a pivotal point in our lives to do some amazing things. One of them, come together. I see a lot of things on social media that's just trying to pull us apart. Trying to highlight differences, try to highlight, how one group of people is better than the other. But we're all in this together, guys. There's not one person that's going to, make the right decision and do the right thing. It's going to take a cohesive group of people to do that. But when we're comparing and we're looking at the shortcomings of ourselves and others, that's never going to happen. That's just going to create conflict and turmoil within us, and we're going to get angry and we're going to be upset. And here's one of the things that we need to do is do internal reflection. The things that upset us about other people, chances are there's things inside of us that we need to wrestle with and reconcile with. I don't know if that's something that you need to do or not. Maybe get back to dreaming. I see a lot of people, a lot of individuals that are just doing simple stuff right now to pass the time, doing puzzles. They're writing, they're coloring. I see a lot of art chalk. It's like they're getting back to their younger self. Being simple-minded, not worrying about the bills, not worrying about the circumstances that surround us. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that the circumstances are not difficult. They are. But how you look at these things, your perspective plays a key role in it. And get back to that victim state or that victory state. See, the victim state is you're gonna fight. You're gonna avoid altogether. You become paralyzed in all this situation if you're so focused on the difficult circumstances that are happening to me. Why are they doing this? Why me? Why me? But if we take responsibility for our part and we look at how can we contribute to creating a better opportunity for our family, a better opportunity for our community, for our state, for our country, we're going to make a positive impact. And if you have kids, man, the example that you're going to set for them is going to be amazing. And that's what Chris did in this film. In his life. This is written based on a true story on his book. He did it. His purpose was always to provide for his family. And not even that, is he loved his son, how he loved him. He didn't talk down to him. He didn't put him down. He wasn't upset with him. He was patient with him. He enjoyed him. And during this difficult time, we may forget that enjoyment part. Because we're looking for happiness. We're looking for joy. Where is it? It's not here. Because I'm going through this, and this. But if you have joy in your heart, it's already there. It's not based on circumstances. Happiness is temporary. Joy, that's everlasting. You have joy, you got something great. Because that's a choice. But if the pain's not great enough, you're not going to change. If it doesn't hurt enough that you're unemployed and you can't pay your bills, if that doesn't hurt, then you're not going to change. You're going to stay the same. You wait for people to help rescue you and take care of you, and everybody else is a problem, you're not, and you know better than anybody else, and you got all the right answers, and you're following all the right people, and but they failed you. That's victim state mentality. The victory state mentality is going to be like, I made a mistake, I own it. I'm going to try to do better. I'm going to try to grow myself in a way that allows me to impact the world in a positive way. It's going to create an opportunity to reach the world. It's going to connect with the world. It's going to connect it. Victory state mentality is looking for a way to bring people together, to inspire, to encourage, to love people, and show them that, hey, look, you have these gifts and strengths. You have these talents that I'm not sure that you see. And they put people around them that are going to support and encourage them. But still, even that's limited, because you got to have that belief inside you. You see, what I think Chris struggled with was a belief about himself. When he talks, when he talked about, getting the A on the test when he was younger, and thinking about all these things he could be, but then he never became any of them. But maybe because there was something wrong in his belief system. Maybe there's something wrong in your belief system right now. Maybe you're choosing to believe that, the abuse that you experienced in your younger life, that's all you are. Whether it's a physical abuse or sexual abuse, maybe the poverty in which you lived in, maybe that's all you're ever going to know. And you're never going to be good enough because your mom or dad told you so. Or your teacher told you. Oh man, I've had that experience. It's tough. It's tough. And so we have to rewrite our narrative. Because you're living in that belief system. It's the narrative in which you live. How do you do that? It's simple. You take away and replace. Instead of believing I wasn't a good enough dad, I looked for ways to become a better dad. And I started living those out. I looked for ways to be creative with my boys. I remember one time after the divorce, I was living in an apartment, and I didn't even think about getting a Christmas tree because the apartment wasn't very big. This is a 1-bedroom apartment. And I was like, you know what, boys? Let's make a Christmas tree out of construction paper. We had such a good time doing that. We put it on the wall, put little decorations on it out of construction paper and stickers that we made. I'll never forget that. I should probably ask them if they remember that. I hope so. I don't know if they do. But allow me to be creative. Because I wasn't looking at my circumstances. I wasn't looking at, the disappointment of going through a divorce. But I own my part. I own my part in the sense that I knew what I did as a husband and a father that didn't allow my ex-wife to feel loved the way that I could have loved her. I saw my shortcomings and I started working on them. And my purpose was to be everything I possibly could be for my boys. And I've added to my purpose. I just want to love people. I want to inspire and encourage them. I want to love my wife, now that I'm remarried, as best as possible. She's got the best version of me that's ever been around. And I want her to continue to get that individual every single day. That I was better than yesterday. But still focus on today and doing the things that I need to do. Don't get me wrong, I'm a knucklehead. I leave my stuff everywhere. Man, I'm sorry, honey. I leave my stuff everywhere. My shoes, my hats. And then I see them and then I pick them up. I'm like, man, I can't, ADD plays a little role in that. But I do, I'm not the easiest person to live with. I'm fun to be around. I'm encouraging to be around, but goodness gracious, I recognize my shortcomings and I'm constantly, working on that stuff. But I'm aware. You see, I want to be awesome. I wanted to be an awesome dad. What does awesome look like? We have to live in our awe. See, the first part, the awesome, we have to live in our awe, A-W-E. the A, we have to have an awareness of why we do what we do. Awareness of why we do what we do. If it's based on your past, if there's shortcomings that you had, if there's difficulties that a belief system that is hindering you from being everything that you've ever wanted to be, it's developing that awareness, because in that awareness things start getting clearer and we start to see things differently. And then it's easier to take away and replace the difficulties about ourselves, the shortcomings that we have. But we have to have the awareness of why we do what we do. Not to blame, right? Because that's the victim state mentality. Now, we've been victimized. I don't want to take that away from you. If you've been victimized, okay, that's one part. But the healing process, that's for you. And so we create an awareness of why we do what we do and who we are in that. How do we want people to see us? And how do we want to engage the world? Because if we're in a victory state mentality, we're looking to be connected. We're looking to create life. We're looking to engage life. We're looking to make life bigger, better, and stronger than it's ever been. What does that look like? The W, worth. Right? And we get back to your purpose. What's it worth? Well, it was worth it for me to put my boys first and develop a relationship with them, stronger relationship with them, become the best version of myself, strengthen myself, take care of the baggage that I was hanging on to, and the shortcomings and all the things that people said I couldn't do and all the things that people told me I wasn't good enough. Let that stuff go. Because those people don't care anymore. The people that said it, they don't even remember saying it half the time, more than half the time. They don't care. So they don't care. Why am I caring? Right? And there's going to be more people that are going to say stuff. Trust me, that's not going to stop. But it was worth it to me, so that way I can live my purpose and be the person that I want to be. For my boys and for my now wife and my two beautiful stepdaughters. I love them. They'll tell you, oh yeah, he loves me. That's my choice to love them. And I mean, everybody I come in contact with, if you know me, you know I love you and I care about you. Whether you love me back or not, I can't, I have no control of that. But I'm going to love you. Because I spent so much of my life on the other side, not trusting. And when you don't trust anybody, when you have that victim state mentality, you're going to be defensive. You're going to be avoidant. And I was those things. I didn't trust people. I trust you to a certain extent, but that's it. You got this distance and that's it. That's all you get from me. When I started looking at my worth, the victory state mentality started shooting up out the sky. And I'm like, you know what? It's okay. If they don't like me, that's fine. I understand not everybody's gonna like me. Like, I get it. Sort of. I don't know. I don't know how that's possible that people don't like me. I'm kidding. But hey, look. Different people vibe with different people, and I get it. I understand. I'm fine with it. Like, I accept that part, right? So I can still connect with people. So, if they don't not fully into me or whatever, that's cool. It's fine. Don't hurt my feelings. And then the E, to be awesome, we have the awareness, the worth. We got to execute daily in your gifts and strengths. See, I believe everybody has gifts and strengths. Everybody has been called to do something for a purpose. And you have talents and gifts and strengths that not everybody has. There's something unique and specific about you that is part of a bigger system, right? It's bigger. So I didn't when I'm going through this change process, it wasn't just all about Jeff. No, it was all about living for my purpose, my sons, my wife, my stepdaughters, my family, the community in which I have, my friends, my career. It was all about, it was always been bigger than Jeff Ortiz. So we have to get it off ourselves. Mind you, I think it's very important that you love yourself and you love the good parts and the bad parts about you. But the focus is not on you to the extent of I need. If that makes sense. The awareness is to identify places where you have shortcomings and difficulties, but also the gifts and the strengths. But what I do and why I do it is because of who I am. And that who I am, I do it for a bigger purpose. Being a man of faith in God and loving God. And I do it for him. And I do it to inspire and encourage other people. This isn't about me. I don't put this podcast out so everybody knows who Jeff Ortiz is. No, this is so I can stir up something inside you, so that way you become who you were always meant to be. And I don't care if maybe one day you're my boss. It doesn't matter to me. Maybe you want to be an inspirational speaker, and then you blow up and I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I think it's great. I do care, actually. I'm sorry. I do care because I want you to impact the world in a positive way. We have, oh my goodness, we have so many people impacting this world in a negative way. I don't even need to name names or point in different directions. You can see it for yourself. And I was one of those people too. Always looking at life in a negative perspective. Looking at what I didn't have. Always wanting more. That's not what it's about. It's about relationships. In the graduate program I went to for marriage and family therapy, it talks about it's all about relationships. And it is. It's all about relationships, connecting. Jesus walked with 12. He had a team of individuals in which he was trying to teach the disciples. It was a team of people. He walked in community. Everywhere he went, he was in community with people. He was teaching the 12 disciples. And they were knuckleheads. I would have been one of those knuckleheads. I would have second guessed them just like that. I would have been like Peter, the angry one. And then tell Jesus, I'm not gonna deny you. How'd that work out, Peter? What I'm saying is, it's bigger. And just because we come from a place of the guilt and the shame and the hurt and the pain, just because we've experienced it and we've been victimized, does not mean we need to remain in the victim state. See, our country needs to come together in a way that we have never done before. We're at a pivotal point in our nation that we need to come together now more than ever. Collectively figure out, okay, listen to each other. Oh man, I work with couples as a therapist, and one person usually has a perspective and a point of view, and the other one has a perspective and a point of view. And my goodness, when they are not even reading out the same book, it is a challenge. But what do? We get back to, hey, what did we used to do well together? Let's talk about that. What used to work? Well, we used to listen to each other. Okay. We used to validate each other. Okay. We agreed to disagree. Okay, good. We got to get back to that place. I don't want to get too far off track here. But I think about Chris's purpose. And I think about my purpose in inspiring and encouraging people and staying away from comparison. Staying away from criticizing. And acknowledging where we are similar. Acknowledging how we are people who can love. That we can be flexible and efficient. We can have that relentless pursuit of happiness and joy and enjoy each other. So I love this movie because of his relationship with his boys, and I think about the relationship I have with my boys. And going through the divorce and just saying, you know what? I want to be there for my boys. So if you've gone through a divorce and you're stuck and you have kids, man, focus on them. Put them first. Being a man of faith, put God first. But then the kids, and it's bigger than you. It's always bigger than you. I mean, you're important in that puzzle, an important piece. You get strong, you get healthy, and then you start looking at your purpose and what can you do to impact this world? What can you do to leave, we hear that leaving your legacy and leaving your mark and those sort of things. Well, where are you falling short? Coming to to terms of where you're falling short and accepting that as your truth, and then making the changes. Change the way you think, change the way you act, change the way you react, respond more than react. That's how you're going to make progress. That's how you're going to incorporate a radical change. It's a daily process, and it's not overnight. I can tell you that right now. It's not an overnight process. Chris was able to go through, step by step, like different days of the week. He didn't know what was going to happen. He didn't know where he's going to stay. He didn't have some of these answers, but he did trust in the fact that, I'm going to work. I'm going to take my son to daycare. And one of the most beautiful parts about that film, when he was offered a position to stay on at Dean Witter, he left the office. He ran to the daycare to embrace his son. First thing he did. Because his purpose was his son, to take care of his son, to have a relationship with his son. And you see, when your heart and your purpose are aligned, that's what you're going to go for. See, if you're only focused on external validation, you're only focused on material wealth, and you're only focused on, being the richest person in the world, well, okay. But when you get that, what's after that? It never stops. For relational satisfaction, relational health, emotional health, those are all important components of being who you are. You know who you are, you know your purpose. Circumstances are going to happen. Yeah, from time to time I get a little freaked out about what's going on, but that's just really time to time. Right now I'm focused on okay, how can I apply what I'm doing and what I'm experiencing to help you, encourage and inspire you through, audio or video. This is a great opportunity for me to connect with you, to inspire you, encourage you, so that you can become what you've always wanted to be. This ain't even about me. It's not. It's about you. I'm here for you. I've overcome a lot of insecurities to get to this point. I've overcome the insecurity of how I sounded on audio, how I looked on video, and how I speak. I'm like, oh man, do I really speak like that? The same things when you look in the mirror, you're like, oh, what? I've had to overcome all those things. But here I am. And I hope that you're inspired and encouraged by this podcast. More importantly, I hope it starts to plant some seeds and stir some things inside you. Because I believe you can live in your awe to be awesome. Have awareness, know your worth, and execute it daily. What is your purpose? What do you need to love big for your purpose? What things do you need to accept about yourself and others in order to connect with yourself and others? To make your family a better family. To make you a better person. To love bigger. To love stronger. To love harder. What do you need to do? I would love to get your feedback on this. You can follow me at Jeff_Ortiz_LBLW for Love Big, Love Wide. You can email me at jeff@renovaricounseling.com. I would love to get your feedback. And if maybe you want to dive deeper into how to do some of these things in a professional level, You have my information now. Give me a call. Not a call. Contact me. I didn't give you a phone number. But I will. 626-261-3299. I'm here for you. I'm here to help you. That is my purpose. I am a helper. It's what I do. I love people. I care about people. And I do the best that I can with the gifts and the strengths and the knowledge and the schooling that I have to help people. And so, until next time, may have a couple more movies that I'll talk about. But getting back to loving big, loving wide. Love big for your purpose. Love wide to accept and connect with those around you. God bless you guys. I love you guys, and we'll talk to you soon. Love you guys.